Hold on, he's about to give an opinion about the Green Party. um, yeah, I do think this is a serious problem for the Green Party. I really do. This is nothing new. This is really nothing new. Um, Especially if you know anything about what happened to the Sheffield Greens, then you know, oh boy, this is nothing new. But we've talked about this a long time ago when we went over the big long blog from for Greens for HS2, where the leader of it wrote very specifically and said, "Look, this is our political party. We need infrastructure. We have to build infrastructure, and HS2 is a good infrastructure project and would be really good for environmental concerns as well, because it has a huge reduction in carbon, in a carbon footprint. Once it's built, you know, it's going to be good. It's going to improve transport massively." And talking about how the Greens are like, "Oh my God, we want to have this massive transport infrastructure into rails, but we're not going to build, you know, HS2. Oh, so what are you going to do? We're going to invest in rail. Okay, well, what do you mean invest in rail? Where exactly is the money you intend to invest in rail going to go?" And of course, his conclusion of all that was that, look, when the outside starts to take a serious look at the Green Party, bear in mind, they have 4 MPs now. The media attention on the Green Party is going to become more and more intense, and they will pick up on this. Because guess what happened recently? A clip started doing the rounds about Ed Miliband going after Carla Denya for um, for something that she said and calling her out for her NIMBYism in this case. And we'll get more into this in a moment. But before we do that, please do remember to click on the like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page, the One Off Donation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can buy me coffee, the YouTube thank you button, and of course, as always, there is the YouTube thank you button, the Pony Club, and yeah, all the rest down below. But as always, thank you very much to all those people who do help support the channel. Even if you do, just click the like and share button. And of course, on with this. So, what happened? Well, the first thing is we are currently, or at least one of the big infrastructure projects is going to be off the southeast coast area, just off the little, off our little bum, shall we say, of the UK. I can't remember what we call it now. Someone will tell me in the comments. But of course, when you build that offshore wind farm, you've got to get the electricity it produces back onshore. And then, of course, once you get it onshore, you've then got to transport the rest of that infrastructure, or the rest of that, shall we say, electricity, into the national grid. You can't get away from that. Now, traditionally, I don't know if you live in the UK and you look outside, you will see pylons. Yes, pylons. Pylons are the best way to get electricity from one place to the other in the most cost efficient way possible. That is how we have always done it. It's pretty much how every other country does it as well. Of course, eventually, the pylons do go to a substation. That substation then goes into a ground. But of course, the big thing is that those pylons, the electricity that they are carrying is, thousands of megawatts. When it gets to the substation, that's when it starts, dispersing it more. Now, what the big the big contention here was that Carla Denia was arguing that there needed to be a consultation, that there needed to be have a look at what other options there could be. And we know, and bear in mind, Carla Denia worked in green energy, so she should know what the options are. But the only options are pylons or below ground pylons, meaning that you take pylons and You essentially instead put the cables running underground. Now, I think obviously straight away you can see the problem. To have such a massive amount of electricity in cables running underground is huge, huge potential problem for, what if someone's digging and accidentally hits them? Um, Maintenance, because pylons have to, you know, go through regular maintenance. It's easier when they are above ground. If they're below ground, well, you have to dig them all back up and then check them. There's a danger element involved in that as well. So we know that this consultation that they were pushing for was not really practical. It would be a complete waste of money, and it would only really satisfy two of her own NIMBYs sitting on the bench. Because one of the big things the Green Party is going to have to deal with is the NIMBYs in her party. Two of her, well, Carla Denyer and of course the Brighton Pavilion guy, they are coming from a very sort of city-centric point of view. If you look at cities, you talk to people in cities and sort of built up areas, they hate NIMBYs. They hate NIMBYs with a passion. It is not something that, you know, gets often talked about, but it is a thing in cities. They hate it because NIMBYs outside the cities tend to stop construction that is very, very much needed of infrastructure, building more houses, roads, rails, etc. You name it. Bear in mind, just a couple of days ago on the Good Morning Walk, we talked about the tram potential routes being proposed for Leeds. Guess which party is opposing building, you know, these tram networks? But what was really shocking was Carla Denyer did a response on Twitter saying, "Oh no, Ed Miliband's got it all wrong. We need to have a consultation process because we know we want to make sure that the public know what they're getting." Well, it's either A, you spend billions of pounds and extra money to put them underground, or you build like we always do, and build them above ground because it is easier, cheaper, more practical to have above ground pylons. And this is eventually what is going to destroy, I think, the Green Party. Because two of the other people who won their seats from Conservatives, there's a lot of people saying at the moment that they won their seats because they were being very, very much NIMBYs about this. And this means something in the Green Party is going to break. Even the co-leader is known for being quite a big NIMBY. So once again, something's got to break and it will break. And when that happens, infighting will start. And I mentioned at the beginning, the Sheffield. The Sheffield Green Party fell apart because of NIMBYism, because the inner city Greens could not agree with the outer city Greens about house building, infrastructure, transport, you name it. And it just got worse and worse and worse. It's still going on today. This is why they don't like to talk about, Sheffield quite a lot. Where you wind back the clock a couple of years, they would talk about Sheffield in the way that they talk about Brighton Pavilion, and even Bristol Central. You don't hear them talking about that a lot now. So something will have to give, and eventually, also, I think you'll come to see the folly of having two co-leaders, where you can already see them drifting very, very much apart. That will certainly, I think, also become a later problem for the Green Party down the line as well. But hey, let me know what you think. I'm sure there's a lot of people who disagree with me on that, but hey, there is a lot of NIMBYism in the Green Party. This is not a shock discovery to you. This should be well known by now. But yeah, I think this is what is going to honestly destroy the Green Party. And I think when you start to see some of the infrastructure, the house building stuff that sort of Labour start to sort of provide against, watch where Carladenia and the rest of the Greens start to come down on the infrastructure, it's going to be very, very telling where they're going to come down on it. So, as always, thank you very much for watching. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.